Hello everyone. Welcome to WinAndApp. In last video, we saw how to create Microsoft SQL Server for free in AWS. If you haven't watched the video, please click the link at the top. In this video, we are going to see how to take backup of your SQL Server database in AWS, and also how to restore SQL Server database using S3 bucket in AWS. Before that, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Now, let's get into the video. First open the browser, and go to the link that I have given in the description. Click the Sign into the console, at the top right corner. Now enter your email ID, that is registered as root user, and give the password. So, now once you log in, you will see this page. So, to do backup and restore of SQL Server in AWS, there are 5 steps involved. Let's go one by one. Step number 1 is to create AWS RDS option group. Before creating the option group, we should have the RDS instance group. If you want to know how to create the RDS instance, I have uploaded a video and posted right in the top. Please click and have it watched. In the top right corner, select the region in which you have created a DB instance. In last video, we have created a DB instance in Mumbai region. So, now I am selecting Mumbai. After that, click the services link at the top left corner, and under database, select RDS. Now, to create an option group, click the option groups menu here in the left. This is my default option group which got created when I created the DB instance. Now for this demo, I am going to create a new option group. So, let's click the Create Group button here. Here, you can give the name of the option group. I am going to give it as WinAndApp SQL option group. You can give the description whatever you wish to give. For now, I am going to leave it the same name as option name. Now, in the engine you have to use the SQL Server engine that your DB instance was created. If you remember, we have selected SQL Server Express Edition in our last video. So, select SQL Server EX, which is the Express Edition that I created in my last video. Now, select the engine version. I am going to select 14.0. If you don't know what is the engine version, go to the Databases menu in the left pane, and open it in New Window. Here, you can see the engine that we created in last video. Now, to check the engine version, select your DB instance, and go to Configuration tab. Here you can see the engine version. Now, select 14.0 and click the Create button. Now, you can see the option group got created. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is to add SQL Server Backup Restore option to option group. Now, we need to add the backup and restore option to the option group that we just created. So, now let's do it. Take the checkbox against the option group that we just created, and click Add Option button. By default, you should see the option SQL Server _backup _restore got selected. If not, select that option from the drop-down. Here you see this IAM role, which is Identity Access Management role. What this is going to do is that, this is the one that is going to allow our DB instance and the S3 bucket to communicate with each other, so that we can do the backup and restore of our database. So, let's create a new IAM role here. Select the drop-down, and select Create a new role. Here you can give the name that you wish to give. Here I am going to give WinAndApp SQL IAM. And please note that to do database backup and restore, we should have a S3 bucket. We cannot use the local drive to do this backup or restore of a database. S3 is nothing but an object storage where you can store your objects. So, now, let's select a S3 bucket to store our backup objects. Here, you can see any of your existing S3 buckets. If not, let's create a new S3 bucket. Go to Services at the top right corner. Now, under Storage you will see S3, open it in New tab. Now, here you can see the buckets that you have already created. As I don't have any bucket, let's create a new one by clicking this Create Bucket button. Now we have to give a name to our bucket. Please note that the name of the bucket should be unique in the region that we are creating. I am going to give the bucket name as WinAndApp Mumbai S3. Now the region is the important thing. You should have the S3 bucket and RDS instance created in the same region. So, here I am going to select Mumbai region, as my SQL server resides in Mumbai region. If the S3 bucket and DB instance are in different regions, then you may end up with a problem while performing the backup and restore activity. So, please make a note of it. Now, under Block Public Access Settings, you can leave them as default. You can go over it and modify if needed. For now, I am going to leave it with default options. And then under Bucket Versioning, I am going to enable it. Now, click Create Bucket. Now, you can see the bucket got created. Now let's go back to the original tab, where we left adding Backup Restore option to Option Group. Here you see the refresh button. Click that. And then, now we see our new S3 bucket created. Select that. And under Encryption, I am leaving it as blank. If you need to add encryption, please go ahead and add it. You should have a master key to do that. And finally, under Scheduling, I am going to select Immediately, which will create my option group immediately. And then click Add Option. So, now, we have created a S3 bucket, and an option group. Next is to move your database backup file to S3 bucket. Here, in my machine, I have the Microsoft's AdventureWorks database downloaded from the link that I have given in the description. So, we are going to upload this .back file to the S3 bucket. Let's go back to the AWS console and open S3. Select the bucket that we just created, and click Upload, then click Add Files and select the .back file that we downloaded. Under Additional Upload Options, you can select the storage class that you need. For now, I am leaving it, and others with default options, and click the Upload. Based on the size of your .back file, the upload is going to take time. So, once it is uploaded, you can see your .back file here. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is to modify the SQL Server DB instance to option group that we created in this video. Go to the database and select the DB instance that we created in our last video. Click the Modify button at the top. Scroll down and until you see this additional configuration. Here, under the database options, select the option group that we created earlier in this video. And then come down and click Continue. Here you can review the changes that we are modifying the DB instance. Under Scheduling, select Apply Immediately and click Modify DB Instance. Now in DB page, you can see the DB info is modifying. This doesn't take much time. Check that your DB is now available. That's step number 3. Step number 4 is to restore AdventureWorks DB on RDS using S3 bucket. Open Azure Data Studio and connect to the RDS instance which we created in our last video. Before restoring, you can see, I have only one database which we created in my previous video. Open a new query window. So now, to restore the backup file to the RDS instance, we are going to execute a stored procedure. By default, all RDS instances will have this stored procedure in its MSDB database. This is the stored procedure that we are going to execute to restore our DB. I have given this code in the description. So, here we need to modify the database name and the bucket name. Give the database name. I am going to give it as AdventureWorks. And here, paste the bucket name and the backup file name that we copied earlier. I am giving my bucket name as WinAndApp Mumbai S3, and backup file name as AdventureWorks 2016.bat. Don't change any of these values. To monitor the restore progress, you can execute this stored procedure that resides in the same MSDB database of RDS instance. Please find this statement in the description as well. Verify that everything that you gave is correct. Make sure that you include .back extension for the backup file name, and execute the first statement. Now, you can see that the restore process got created. To check the progress on the restore, execute the second statement which is RDS task status. Here you can verify the details and here you can see that the database is getting created. Now, you can see, in progress. And now, you can see that the restore is 100% completed. One thing to note here is that, you cannot restore a backup file that is generated from higher-end version of SQL Server. So, now let's verify whether the database got restored or not. Let me go back to Connections tab and refresh my DB server. You can see the database got restored successfully. That's step number 4. Step number 5 is to backup DB instance from RDS into S3 bucket. To backup a database in RDS, we need to run a script to enable the compression of RDS DB. This is the script that is used to compress the database backup. I will leave this in the description as well. For some reason, SQL Server Express Edition does not allow database compression. So, I am going to leave this as false. If you are using any other edition of SQL Server, you can give it as true. Now, to initiate the backup operation, we need to execute the stored procedure that resides in the MSDB. So, this is the stored procedure that is going to initiate the backup. Please note, this is RDS backup database. For restoring, you will have a stored procedure called RDS restore database. So, now, similar to restore database, give the database name which you want to take the backup, and give the S3 bucket name and the file name with extension. I am going to give bucket name as WinAndApp Mumbai S3. And file name as AdventureWorks today's date, which is February 26, 2021. Now, execute the statement and you can see the backup has been initiated. To check the status of it, run the same stored procedure that we ran to check the restore progress. Here you can verify the details and here you can see that the database is getting backup. Now, you can see, in progress. And now, you can see that the restore is 100% completed. So now, it's going to show it in the S3 bucket list. Go to the AWS console and open S3. Now, open your S3 bucket. That's here. You can see the new backup got created. That's step number 5. Okay folks, that's how we backup and restore SQL Server Database in AWS. I will see you all in next video. For more videos, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Hail WinAndApp.